20 mines cost $24,000. They sank $2.8 billion in warships. And that wasn't even the most destructive blockade in history. Number 10. The Ever Given. In 2021, one container ship turned sideways in the Suez Canal by accident. No weapons, no war, just wind and a bad rudder. It blocked $9.6 billion in trade per day. That's $400 million every hour more economic damage than Egypt caused in 1956 when it deliberately sank 47 ships. A single excavator operator became the most important person on Earth. Number 9. The Danish Straits during the Napoleonic Wars. When the British Navy blockaded Denmark, Napoleon lost access to Caribbean sugar. So Europe did something desperate. It invented sugar beet processing. That 200-year-old blockade is still on your dinner table tonight. Next time you eat anything with European sugar, you're tasting Napoleon's failure. The blockade created an agricultural revolution that permanently reshaped what an entire continent eats. So far, accidents and agriculture, but every blockade from here on drew blood, and the weapons only got cheaper. Number 8. The Red Sea, 2024. Houthi rebels with drones costing less than a luxury car rerouted 90% of container shipping around the entire continent of Africa. Each rerouted voyage costs an extra $1 million and 10 to 14 extra days. A $50,000 drone neutralized $150 million warships. If you ordered anything online last year that arrived late or cost more, this is why. The Houthis proved that in the modern era, you don't need a navy, you need a drone and a narrow strait. Number 7. The English Channel WWII. This is the strait where ships became irrelevant. For the first time in history, a choke point was controlled not by navies, but by radar and aircraft. Britain's RAF turned the channel into a kill zone, not with mines or battleships, but with information and air power. Every modern drone blockade, every satellite-guided choke point, it traces back to this moment when a narrow strip of water stopped being about ships and started being about technology. Here's the pattern nobody talks about. The blocker always loses more than the blocked. Every single time. Number 6. The Strait of Hormuz. Most people think this is the scariest choke point on Earth. 21 million barrels of oil squeezed through a channel 3 kilometers wide every single day. That's 21% of everything the world burns. Iran has threatened to close it over 50 times since 1979. But here's the twist most analysts won't say out loud. Iran has never closed Hormuz because 90% of Iran's own export revenue flows through the same choke point. It's a gun pointed at your own head, the world's most powerful bluff, 47 years and counting. Number 5. The Strait of Malacca, World War II. Japan didn't blockade Malacca. It captured both shores. By February 1942, every port from Penang to Singapore was Japanese. They turned the world's busiest shipping lane into a private highway. 30% of global trade flows through Malacca even today. But here's the perfect boomerang. Allied submarines used that exact same strait to cut Japan's oil supply. The resource highway became a resource graveyard. Japan seized Malacca for Indonesian oil and lost its empire because of Indonesian oil in the same water. From here, every blockade either involved nuclear weapons or destroyed an empire. Most did both. Number 4. The Taiwan Strait, 1950s. Eisenhower authorized tactical nuclear strikes against mainland China, over 2 rocky islands smaller than Manhattan, with 0 strategic value. 475,000 artillery shells hit Quemoy in 44 days, and then both sides agreed to shell each other only on odd-numbered days. Read that again. Nuclear brinkmanship turned into absurdist theater, but the real consequence was invisible. Mao provoked the crisis to test if Russia would back him. Moscow hesitated. That hesitation destroyed the Sino-Soviet alliance, reshaping the entire Cold War. Number 3. The Strait of Tiran, 1967. Here's what most people get wrong. They think Nasser closed Tiran to strangle Israel's economy. Tiran carries almost 0 global trade. It was pure symbolism, and it was based on a lie, false Soviet intelligence claiming Israel was massing troops on Syria's border. Intercepted communications suggest Nasser expected diplomacy, not war. Instead, Israel destroyed 3 air forces in 6 hours and took the entire Sinai Peninsula in 132 hours. Egypt sank 1 concrete-filled ship in a strait so shallow a swimmer could touch bottom. Cost, practically nothing. Consequence, 3 nations defeated, every Middle East border redrawn for 60 years. Number 2 killed the largest empire in history, and most viewers think it should be number 1. Number 2, the Suez Canal crisis, 1956. When Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, Britain and France invaded. They won militarily, and then the United States told them to leave. Prime Minister Eden's humiliation wasn't just personal, it was civilizational. 300 years of British Empire ended in one canal. 15 cargo ships were trapped for 8 years, forming a floating ghost town called the Yellow Fleet. Crews rotated home while ships rusted in the desert. Egypt won politically by losing militarily. Britain lost everything by winning militarily. The choke point curse perfected. And most of you think this should be number one. It's not. But $24,000 in 1915 bought something even bigger than an empire's death. Number 1. The Dardanelles, 1915. A single Turkish mine layer named Nusret laid 20 mines at night in a line nobody checked. Cost, $24,000. Those 20 mines sank $2.8 billion in Allied warships, killed 700 sailors, destroyed Churchill's career, created modern Turkey, and cut Russia off from its allies, accelerating the revolution that created the Soviet Union. Turkey had only 26 mines left when Britain quit. One more day, and the Ottoman Empire would have fallen. Let me put that in perspective. The mines cost what a mid-range car costs today. They sank warships worth more than the entire annual budget of most countries. Gallipoli's failure exiled Churchill for 20 years. It created Mustafa Kemal Ataturk and modern Turkey. It convinced Russia that Allied supplies would never arrive through the Straits, directly fueling the collapse that became the Bolshevik Revolution. One strait. 20 mines, 3 empires reshaped. No blockade in history has a higher consequence to cost ratio. Not Suez, not Hormuz, not anything. The Dardanelles is proof that the most dangerous weapon in the world isn't a nuclear warhead, it's a narrow strip of water and someone desperate enough to mine it. 20 mines, $24,000, 3 empires. 110 years later, the equation hasn't changed. It's only gotten cheaper. The next narrow strait, the next desperate hand, the next $24,000. It's already being loaded.